as Jupiter will be with Venus here as well. More money, but more enjoyment. So you could get, raises and promotions in the month of July, but it could also bake in a year-long vibe of, I'm actually having a good time here and I'm doing things and I'm being successful in my gains and prosperity of my career. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is the month of July 2026, and it is a big deal. Jupiter, the good Santa Claus, fairy godfather, goes into the house of his joy for a year, opening up great opportunity for you over the next year. But beginning in July, Mars will change signs and move into a house that aligns you with your purpose and meaning. Mercury will head retrograde or be retrograde for 3 weeks. And at the very end of the month, Jupiter starts his retrograde. Saturn starts his retrogradation. We'll cover all of that. I don't really talk about the retrograde Saturn because it's really taking place and really we feel the full brunt of it in August, September, but I will talk about it for you because Saturn is an occultation lord. And when he's going backwards, things are kind of interesting for you. So we'll bring that into the story as well. So Libra, this month ahead, you are going to love the vibe of Jupiter's new story for you. Yes, it's a year long, but I want to say prosperity, increase, and good fortune when it comes to your career gains, when it comes to even maybe some windfalls. So let's get started and talk about this month. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising, my name is Lori Lothy, and this is Western Tropical Zodiac Astrology, not Vedic or sidereal. In today's video, we're going to break it down week by week, day by day. I'm going to give you access to the lunations as well, one coming off of an eclipse in February. So we're going to talk about that. There's a lot of content here. It behooves you to take notes. We have this really rare Barbault basket happening, which is like for the world rare, but it hits you in 4 very important spots in your chart. So it's best to take some notes or download the video or come back and listen to it because we're covering 30 to 40 minutes of content because it is an important and life-changing, very busy month, life-changing for the world, life-changing for you. Just by the way, I am a teaching astrologer. If you're interested in learning, my 7th season of Sky Reader opens up this September, probably mid-September. The early Superbird discount code is active till the end of July. If you look in the link below in the description box, you'll either see the early bird waiting list, or you'll see the actual shopping cart to come in and sign up under a discount rate you won't see again. Live classes, 7 weeks with me to learn to read the sky, to time your life, to be your own astrologer. This is learning the basic language of astrology, applying it to 2 very easy and simple to use tools once you've got the language under your belt. If you want to come in and learn some astrology this fall, I'm your teacher, I hope, and it's a lot of fun. We have teaching assistants, we have bonus classes, to be announced, 4 bonus teachers teaching on top of my teaching, Q&As weekly, Discord and Facebook group. So there's a lot of support for you to learn astrology and use it to time your best life. When the world is going to hell in a handbasket, you can take astrology as a way to navigate it with grace and ease. Learn to be your own astrologer, please. Okay. I know I'm going to say something. No, I'm going to save that for another video. No confessions to you guys, okay? But when people in the comments say, oh, this didn't work for me, you said I was going to win the lottery. I'm like, guys, this is general bell curve astrology. It's just for a whole sign. If you're listening for your sun sign, it's your true self, and it represents career and purpose. If you're listening for your moon sign, it has to do with how you think and feel about your life, but it represents your home and domicile. Like an eclipse to the moon will likely move your home or have major changes in the life of your mother. The sun is father figures, of course, as well. The rising sign, your ascendant, the helmsman of the chart, where you're seemingly steering your life, that part of the chart is representative of the simulation character you're playing in this game of life. It's not the truest you. It's how you look. It's your personality. It's how you present through your reality into interface with this simulation. So, but it's very accurate for astrological prediction for most people most of the time. Let's get started. I'll be sharing the sky. I talk a bit quickly because I'm trying to cover a lot. Slow me down on the playback speed if you need to. Well, we start off with a few Chironic stories this month. And I want to start with a very basic story, of course, of Jupiter's transition. At the last day or two, June 30th of 2026, moving into a year-long stay in your 11th house. In ancient traditions, this is called his house of his joy. He's powerful here. He can increase dramatically and profitably your career gains. Second from the 10th is where you make the money from your career, where you get the raises, promotions, awards, academy awards, perks, influence, and fame. Jupiter can bring some of those your way. Expect last year's good astrology said good career last year minus some Saturnian bumps. This gets even better. This is also where you may find you enjoy your career more, especially true to begin to feel some enjoyment energy. Making money, prospering, and enjoying it will begin to be something you notice happening, as Jupiter will be with Venus here as well. More money, but more enjoyment. So you could get, raises and promotions in the month of July, but it could also bake in a year-long vibe of, I'm actually having a good time here and I'm doing things and I'm being successful in my gains and prosperity of my career. So that's a positive story. Jupiter up here brings greater friendship groups and circles. And I'm going to be I've already done a video on Jupiter moving through Leo for your sign. Please go watch that video. But the gist of it will be, you can count, I think I have anyway, you can count on this to be a positive vibration for enjoying friends, expanding your reach in social circles, increasing your gains from your career. And you'll still see some of the beginning of that throughout the month of July. Secondly, Mars is changing signs, as I mentioned in the intro, and he's moved into Gemini. Now, Gemini for Mars is like trying to make a decision between Jekyll and Hyde, like, the good twin and the bad twin or something like that. He's very wanting to figure things out. And he's going to be in your 9th house of life purpose. He entered here on June the 28th, does not leave till August the 11th. That longer stay, those weeks there, he's going to help you cut away all that is not elephant. Master, how do you carve a perfect elephant every time from the block of jade? Master says to the student, I carve away all that is not elephant. All that is not your true purpose, that is not aligned with your dharma, will fall away. Major life decisions regarding education, higher education, pilgrimages, foreign land, and distant travel will be made in this month of July into early August. And when Mars is up here as well, he's going to be bending the nodes of fate, which is incredibly powerful. We'll get to that. And you're going to have major turning points in legal and court matters as well during July into August with Mars in the top of your sky. Watch for fights with a sibling too older. Now, let's get into the minutiae of the month. On July the 1st, we're going to start week 1. July the 1st, Jupiter will square Chiron. New Chironic wound over here, dealing up a new story after Chiron's longer stay in Aries for 9 years almost. Chiron here is kind of like, okay, I might have some wounds around deep sexual intimacy or around my psychic occult abilities or around my shared monies with others, wounded by the inheritance, spousal support, royalty income, banks, loans, and mortgage folks, investment monies. This is like feeling a little wounded. You're probably coming off the downdraft of the summer's financial crash and feeling it more strongly maybe than some other signs. And you might also notice that with Jupiter squaring this wound, this new and fresh, June 19th to September the 17th, this is Jupiter saying it's impacting your sense of your visions and goals and dreams and hopes for your life that you've held dear, your wish fulfillment desires, maybe getting a kind of wounded vibe here, most likely coming through a financial feeling of, I always wanted to do this, but now I have to pull back. Maybe there's a money story you're considering to put into place around more, measured goals for your life at this time. When I look at the energy of Mars wearing the North Node while conjunct Uranus, I am a little trepidatious for everyone in the world, but for you, it's a Dharma house and it's flowing to you in a trine. And it's not that bad, actually, but it can be a surprise or unexpected shakeup or breakthrough of something as Mars comes into a contact with Uranus. And, Uranus, we always stupidly say, expect the unexpected, making our job as astrologers pretty useless. But July 3rd, 4th, yes, that weekend in the United States, be careful. Not good for the USA. Not good for you if you are expecting something to be predictable in your court and legal battles, in your contracts for book publishing deals, in your foreign travel and pilgrimages, and just journeys abroad, and maybe even unexpected, shocking stories with your sibling too older than you. Because at the end of the day, whatever this is, it will take you slightly by surprise. And it's happening, on the 3rd and 4th of July, but you'll probably feel it building up as early as July the 1st. And energetically, quite possibly, with Mercury retrograde in your 10th house ruling it, there can be unexpected twists and turns in your career and professional direction, as well as in your 9th house stories. So I want to say it's fated. There's no steering wheel. It's like, you're on a ride, like a merry-go-round or a Ferris wheel, or maybe a roller coaster, because the nodes of fate are involved, and Mars and Uranus will be bending the North Node. So that's your work house. So major turning points in your professional storyline that you didn't expect, or you didn't predict, or you didn't imagine would happen. And because they're unexpected, and because they're sort of brutally shocking, you're not going to really enjoy this first week of July for the bending of the nodes, for the square, because what we don't see coming, and it clubbers us, we can feel really ill at ease. Good news is there's a nicely flowing support structure here from Jupiter to kind of say, yeah, well, but it's going to work out anyway. So what isn't going to work out is for the best. Jupiter gives you what you need, not what you want. I can see some professional upsets here for you in work, career, and maybe collaterally money. Jupiter rules your income. So the company downsizing, a contract fell through, you didn't get what you expected in your professional capacity. Mars is taking away what you don't really need anyway. So take a deep breath. Business partners, colleagues, coworkers, or business partners, audience, marketplace, clients can also be disappointing or shocking in some way, or a deal that you're trying to pull together doesn't actually materialize properly. Some ideas. You'll live through it. You'll tell me. I'll hear from you, I hope, in the comments section. Moving past that square to the bending Mars nodes of fate storyline, we go down the pipeline to July the 6th. This is still our first week, obviously. And the sun will do a flashpoint square to Saturn. Well, Saturn is fallen in your house of marriage, okay? Saturn is falling in your house of business deals and partnerships. Saturn is fallen in your house of how you approach your audience and marketplace and public, if you have one. And that's hardship over there, but it may not be your hardship. It could be your marriage partner's down in the dumps, your long-term committed monogamous love partner's having a difficult experience, maybe to do with escapism, mental health, or addictions. There's Neptune, or drug issues. And what we see is the sun flash pointing in a square. So something around this time, something close to the 12th, go the 11th to the 13th even, indicates a spotlight on trouble in the house of others. So it can be many different things. I mean, I can't give you the exact answer to this. What day did I say that was happening on? July the 6th, okay? So July 5th, 6th. Depends on where you live. Let's go back and look. 12. Yeah. So it's kind of pretty exact on July the 6th. So on July the 6th, spotlight. And it may also impact your visible reputation. And if it's your career, which is where the sun is shining brightly, then there's information and news from the past coming through your career that impacts your legal contractual agreements connected to professional business dealings. Okay. And it feels like a spotlight. And it feels a little bit difficult, especially with the sun ruling your house of career gains. It can also be not about your partner or spouse, but about your career and decisions you're making on the legal front around what you want to do in that career. And with Mercury retrograde in your 10th house, this retrograde on June the 29th to July 23rd can bring back former colleagues, coworkers, bosses, or opportunities from the past connected to your work into focus for you. And you may change your direction or change your mind about how you want to work and who you want to work with and who you want to partner with in business and in love. This could be retracting a wedding proposal, for example, or an engagement. This is a house of weddings. Maybe you're changing your mind, right? Square to the partnership house, about this relationship, if you have that, or even this business partnership, and changing your mind there as well. Okay, what about the story of Venus? Venus on July the 9th will trine Chiron, trying to smooth the waters of financial distress or chunks of money distress, shared resources, and inheritance money, and investment money, and royalty money, and in-law money, and shared spousal monies, okay? A chironic wound. And Venus will cross over into a place of her fall, but also try to work with the wound in Chiron's little eighth house money story. You could get some money from foreign people and foreign shores, or money situations with distant people and distant lands can be gelling to shore up a little bit of the wound you experienced financially earlier on. But also, I want you to consider that after Venus leaves her lovely stay in Leo and moves into Virgo, where she's going to be all the way through until August the 7th, July the 9th to August the 7th, Venus is in a condition of detriment, and she's with the South Node. In fact, she crashes right into the South Node July 9th and 10th. And this is very much about what we need to let go of and surrender. So you're letting go and releasing and surrendering, or being disappointed by, or voluming down something to do with the 12th house. It can be creative alone time, ashrams, pilgrimages, searches for truth and meaning, spiritual practices. You could be voluming down things to do with revenue you acquire from an international company, international clients, international sources, and that money is diminishing or going down in some way. So there's some like downdraft there for you to consider. But the Chironic wound is being worked on, because ultimately Chiron isn't about your money. He's on the money axis. Chiron is going to be experimenting for 7 years until 2033, ultimately, with your values, self-worth, and self-esteem, and what you think money means to you. So there's a lot of depth here, but there's something going on that could also mean an in-law, money from an in-law, money from a female in a hospital setting, money from the people to do with, those kinds of things. Venus can bring money from women in those kinds of conditions, perhaps. Not the most obvious, not the most likely, but Venus rules your house of inheritance. And so I'm hinting at an inheritance maybe coming your way, either for your in-laws or for your own from your own family. With an exalted moon here on her ingress, maybe inheritance coming through the in-laws, maybe from your own family, maybe from a female. It doesn't have to be that someone's passing, but it could be like a female, an elder, like granny or grandpa over here, setting place. So an elder female passing your family or your in-laws could lead to, or your spouse's or your partner's family, could lead to some money coming through the sky, perhaps healing the Chironic wound of whatever's been bothering you there. We're talking about June 9th and June 10th, but this story could last as long as August the 7th, as long as Venus is in your 12th house with the South Node. Well, I'd say it could last until, let me be very specific about the inheritance story, July the 9th to about the 27th or so of July. Okay, that window, okay, because the nodes will change signs. Now, moving on to the next storyline. So much to talk about, guys. This is cray-cray. The thing I want you to pay attention to most next in the lineup is week 2. We're going to go between like the 7th of the month to the 14th of the month. And the major stories in that window of time, that 7th to the 14th, and kind of bled the July 9th Venus story already into it, is that you're going to experience this moon, this new beginning, this fresh start. That's a big part of week 2. And you're also going to experience some significant action happening in the sky connected to Mercury and the sun, called a cazimi. So in week 2, the first thing that catches my eye, besides the Venus transition into the South Node, is that Mercury and the sun will join forces together, and that will be around July the 12th. And when they come into a union together, it means a reset button, and Mercury's consorting with divine headquarters for information you need for your career. Technically, you might get a phone call, an email, a talk with a boss, a message from an authority figure in your work environment, news, information coming your way around the 12th of July. And also retrograde means things from the past come back to the now in your work and career and reputation zone. If you're retired, what are you doing in the world? Your golf score is coming back to you, Anyway, I'm always facetious there. And I feel like this is also connected in some ways, okay, this conjunction here, to what Mercury would like to deliver. And it may come through human resource departments, headhunters. You might be looking for a new job. It could come through matters connected to your aligning with purpose, or changes in professional direction involving travel and needs to reset a button and make a difference, change the direction, think of something new. Maybe a travel career plan story isn't going to unfold as you wanted it to. Those are possibilities. And Mercury also can translate this energy of his cazimi into your 12th house, which will be about, again, far off distant shores and lands, plans you might have had, especially if they had spiritual import, maybe having to be reset and rethought. But there's going to be news. So pay attention to the news coming through the 11th, 12th, and 13th to do with your career. On July the 14th, there's going to be a new moon, and it's at 21 degrees of Cancer, and it's going to mush up Mercury here. So Mercury doesn't escape it. New moon, 21 Cancer, Mercury right there beside the whole thing. It's Mercury in a mute sign. He likes to feel, not think, and there's a lot of emotion in this moon, right? The mind is in the sign of feelings and emotions, and moon is in dignity, of course, new moon in our home kingdom. And so that's not too bad, but you're wanting to reset and re-begin your career, but you're taking into consideration or new parts of your career or start something fresh in your career and reputation zone. But you have to think about the retrograde Mercury. Is this a new beginning offset by having to consider directions, people, places, and things involved in your past career stories? Or maybe someone from your past is offering you a new reset button. New moon takes about 6 months to completely flesh itself out. But look, of course, to the first 2 to 3 weeks after July 13th to get a sense of what new beginnings want to start here was baking in a Mercury retrograde. You might not see the fulfillment of the new beginnings until you get Mercury in direct motion July 23rd to his leave taking August 9th of the sign of your 10th house. So be patient with that reset button, but it could be a new job, a new direction, a new career path, or a new position in the work that you do. I see headhunters, I see LinkedIn, I see human resource management, I see red tape changes in your career. Even if you're an entrepreneur, I see changes in your career. The new moon is one thing in the second week of the month, but another one is the July 13th square surprise between money and love goddess Venus and Uranus. Uranus, Coranus, call him what you want, never gives us what we predict. He's going to get into a square relationship to Venus, fallen with the south node in your 12th house. I don't know. If you had travel plans internationally, or far off distant places, I wonder if you're pulling the plug on travel plans. I mean, the plans might not be for July, they could be for August, September, October, but the actual planning of things and the changing of direction may be what I'm seeing. If it's not pull the plug, I mean, airlines might be cutting flights back, gas and oil prices are soaring. You may rethink an international journey or long distance trip plans. And there is this kind of moment of a flash where Uranus shows you what you need to do, or where you suddenly realize what is happening, that you have to cancel, or the airline cancels. It's going to take you a little bit by surprise. And with Venus in a condition of fall, if you make international revenue or borderless income, work for a foreign company, maybe if you have book publishing deals in the works, there's things here that kind of go, not what you planned. Pay attention. Mercury retrograde ruling that Venus. Things you planned in the past fall apart in the present, maybe. We're talking about around July the 13th, okay? Now, moving past that to the third week of the month. Okay, the third week of the month is going to take us into Barbault's basket, a once-in-a-lifetime, first-in-a-lifetime, rare configuration that's going to impact all of us. And it's meant to be harmonious and positive, but it also has tension. Let's take a look at Barbault's basket here. René Barbault, astrologer, now past, predicted this golden age of humanity basket. He predicted the pandemic. So this is like, well, you are having an experience here, aren't you? It's coming through that, third week of the month of July, around the 14th, the 21st, you're really 22nd, you're really feeling it. Let's break it down. The first thing that this basket is made out of is extraordinarily rare, thousands of years rare. Uranus, trine Pluto, well, they are both sextiling Neptune. That's a big story. It happened at the end of 25 and it's back again. It was at 0 degrees or 1 degree in 25. Now it's at 0 degrees here. This is a beautiful flow called a miniature trine, and it's lucky. So where's the luck here? The luck is in your 5th house of romantic love, fertility, pregnancy, entrepreneurship, creativity. There's good spot energy here in the house of the audience, the marketplace, and the marriage partnerships, as well as business. There's a lovely flow here up to the house of long distance travel, foreign shores, spiritual communities, Dharma and life path, and Lakshmi, luck. And so all said and done, what isn't to like about this story, right? It's quite good. In fact, it's really auspicious to have Jupiter in his joy in the house of windfalls while you're anchoring in the house of good fortune. So you could come into like a financial win of some kind under the sky. But we also have the whole basket. And that is because Jupiter gets into the fourth position and you see the basket. And this is Jupiter opposite Pluto. So pay attention to July 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, as we see the formation of Jupiter. And by the time we get to the 18th, coming into a tight opposition to Pluto and Juno. Juno is what you've agreed to, contracts you've made, commitments you vowed to, business and love. And this is a romance house. This is also an entrepreneurial house. Jupiter's in his joy, and he's in a powerful height in the sky, and he's got your back. And so you're likely to have some kind of pressure point moment, turning point moment regarding your career, your creativity versus your career, your pleasures and joys in life and your romantic life versus your career ambition, falling out with friends who don't see things your way. Well, you're also harmonizing and stabilizing the marriage house, right? Jupiter's trining your marriage house. So, I mean, it can be something as simple as a falling out with a friend who doesn't like your marriage partner to be, or your partner you're living with, but it's deeper than one story. It's deeper than a lot of things because it's a basket or whatever. It opens up a catch point. It wants to really catch what he can catch, right? Like, what is it going to get into the basket? It's really going to open up a third house, second house, first house, 12th house, most likely to fall into the basket. So if these things are going to fall into the basket, and particularly like the money that could fall into your basket from the second house, right? The things that could fall into the basket here are money, are YouTube and online and social media opportunities. You could even have something falling into the basket to do with the fourth house, property, land, home, and real estate. Anything on this side of the opposition can fall into your basket. Okay. So we'll do another deep dive video on that. You'll see me doing a deep dive video on that on my channel, because I think you can catch stuff in this basket, just like you could get a bushel of apples. So it's going to take place in the second week and third week of July, but it also opens up a kind of epic, directional shift about what you prioritize and where you can reap and harvest rewards. All right. Pay attention during the second week while this basket is highly activated. Okay, to what Jupiter might want to translate the basket into. Jupiter is the ruler of, or the boss of, your work house. And there's a good strong possibility he'll try to up-level you and create new sources of income or better sources of income for your work path that you're on. Okay, he's going to try to drop money into your basket like alms for the poor. All right, that's what I'd say. And Jupiter also can be, as the exaltation lord of your career, exalting your career and dropping money and career monies into your basket. So those are some thoughts. Good for writing, teaching, publishing, and traveling in connection to your work, as well as marketing and selling and dropping new baskets of opportunity, of storylines into your basket. So this is the second week of July, and it will continue to be pretty active, reactivated actually in the last week of July. We'll get to that. Now, one of the things going on here as the basket is basketing and Barbault is Barboing is that there's a sub period on July the 19th. Well, Mars will sextile on July the 19th, Saturn. So a formidable hard work pays off energy opens up here. Discipline, structure, and hard focus and perseverance and work and action and decisions collaborate. And so around the time of this sextile, you can feel a great amount of momentum in your life regarding your long-term love relationship, your business partners, how you approach your audience or marketplace through the vector of publishing, teaching, learning, traveling, preaching. And if you work for an international company, some of you may, this is going to be a positive, hard work with clients and customers pays off in your advantage, and may level you up in your profession in some way, may give you a turning point, new opportunity to level up somehow, some way. Saturn is the ruler of your good fortune house. If you're an entrepreneur in particular, you might come into some luck, a Lakshmi wealth turning point. It may surprise you, but it's connected to most likely your career direction and your career story. And if you have a significant other here that the person's going through some struggles or trying to deal with some Neptunian difficulties, I'd mentioned that earlier, love partners that are lasting, then you're going to find that there is some positive energy ongoing here. And maybe there is a possibility from around this time, July 19th, 18th, 19th, 20th, I'd say 17th, 18th, 19th, for taking a trip with a significant other to consolidate the connection between the two of you. Because ultimately you're going to get some sexual sizzle coming and bed pleasures as well. And that's going to happen once Mars becomes square to Venus at the end of the month. So planning or taking second half of July trips with a significant other, especially abroad, those trips can fortify romantic love. All right. So July the 15th, all the way through to about July. We're on the third week. Well, we're still on the third week anyway. So let me back it up a bit. Sorry. I'm just repeating the week I did. I apologize. I find that my brain and menopause isn't exactly how sharp as it used to be, but whatever, we'll work with it. Way menopause, guys, way menopause. I want to talk about one more thing before I go ahead. The energy of Mercury, the messenger in the 10th house, and knowing that he's going to turn around and go into direct motion on July the 23rd, you're going to change your mind about some career decisions you thought were solid. I want you to be aware of that. So, or even maybe decisions you thought you knew the lay of the land about weddings and proposals or stuff like that, or long-term love and engagements or business partnerships for career. There's likely a change of direction, a change of mind coming around the 23rd to August 9th. So keep that backdrop, understanding that any decisions you make about your career or your long-term relationship, bonding stories, at the end of June through to July 23rd, you're going to renege on. You're going to go back on those decisions. It's just classic retrogradation, including contracts and agreements, even accepting jobs. You may change your mind. So keep that in the back of your brain as these days go on. Okay, let's go ahead and move into the next week of July, the 21st to the end of the month. So as we move to the 22nd, that's when Jupiter locks and loads the cradle to absolute precision. The 20th to the 22nd, Jupiter's role in the basket, cradle, call it what you want, is exceptional. And this is when it's really happening. But on top of it, the sun will cross into Leo, which is very nice. Sun in Leo is very flowing sextile energy to your sign. You like the vibe for the next 30 days. But as the sun crosses into Leo around July 22nd, you also notice the sun wants to strengthen the basket as well as Jupiter being exact. So now you're going to see a basket intensifying from a solar perspective. And the sun is at home in Leo, but the sun exalts your marriage house, exalts your business partner house, exalts your client's house. So suddenly gains in your career connected to marketing, selling, business, clients, public, fans, or better flow and success in your marriage or long-term love relationship are highlighted because, of course, it's all flowing to dreamy Neptune. The dream is on, the love is spiritual, the depth between you and your partner increases. So it really bonds you and a significant love partner, or it fortifies success in business and business partnerships and client customer outreach. So there's that waiting for that to happen. Well, you can see it beginning to the 20th to 22nd, and the sun chimes in. The sun will be in that trine as well from about July the 22nd until the 27th. So now the sun is fortifying this basket and making it even stronger. And so we don't mind that at all, do we? Right. And then we're wanting to bring to our attention the end of the month. Three big things are happening, right? The nodes are changing signs. We have a last lunation in Aquarius, and we're going to also note that Venus will make sexy time happen with Mars. If you are looking for romantic love to sizzle, then I think you're going to be quite pleased around this time. This is a real highlight in the romance area of life. If this is bed pleasures, which it can be, then who are you bed pleasuring with? And we're talking about July. I'd say feeling it around as early as even July the 22nd is starting to sizzle. It hits a peak of sizzle dizzle in romantic, sexy love, passion, and attraction. It peaks out around the 28th. Okay. And it kind of falls away by the end of the month. So I'm going to say that you're really not imagining it. The last, 10 days of July, you could have some really great sexual energy rolling with a romantic partner and time alone and getaways and retreats together. This is also just Venus. I know she's in Virgo, but she's very kind of temple prostitute here. Could be quite exciting, or sacred magic love, sacred temple priestess love as well. So there's just a vibe going on. A very spiritual vibe could happen in romantic love, getaways, travel with a romantic partner, those vibrations. And also, if you're not with somebody, you're looking to meet someone, you could meet somebody that lives at a geographical distance from you, and you might be traveling when you meet, and you might have a tryst. I doubt this would be a lasting thing if it's brand new, based on Venus not able to witness your seventh house. On July, and Venus is the ruler of your chunky money house, could bring the inheritance in and the court battle case to get your share of some inheritance, or just legal processes to parse the probate or something could be happening here. It's dynamic. It's intense. It's critical turning point energy. We could involve inheritance money for some of you. All right. Going into the next story. The story is a story of the nodes changing away from this 18-month stay that happened to be in Virgo. And the nodes are going to change over around the 27th of July, time zone dependent. And this is mean node, not true. Okay, a little later for the true node, but you begin to feel a new energy at the end of July as the nodal axis will shift, and you're going to open up 18 months of change and transformation in houses 11 and 5. I'm not covering that here today. Watch, like, and subscribe so you get that content in the future. It'll be deep dives into this new nodal shift for 18 months where destiny has its handle on your steering wheel. On the full moon of the 6-degree full moon on July 29th in Aquarius, it's taking place after and from the new moon in February, the 28th of February, that was a solar eclipse. So this is a very powerful moon connected to a former eclipse. So when the moon moves into Aquarius and you get this energy going, and it will be at 6 degrees of Aquarius. So 6 degrees sun, moon, and rising Libra, feel it very strongly. This is a lunation that will fulfill some of the promise of February 28th eclipse. Take February 28th, maybe about a month before, and maybe up to even 3 months after, some unfoldments there, because that eclipse that happened in February is in the house of sex, romantic love, entrepreneurial and business, and pleasure and enjoyment of life, your natural talents and gifts, profits from the sale of a property. There's a lot of meanings to the fifth house. And that eclipse began to unfold itself. And now you've got the fulfillment spotlight on what it's all really about. And that eclipse happened when the node of fate was also in the 6th house. So for some of you, there may be combinations between work matters and entrepreneurial matters. There may be combinations between romantic and love matters and financial debt situations. You're going to overlap the beginning of the eclipse with 6th house, 5th house matters. If a pet would bring you pleasure, it could have been considerations about getting a pet even. But now there's a fulfillment spotlight that takes that eclipse and brings it to your acute attention. So pay attention, therefore, to the full moon of July 29th. Look for a couple days before and up to 2 weeks after for what it's trying to tell you. Destined, fated turning points in love, romance, entrepreneurship, creative talents, good fortune. This is increasing your fortunes. Good fortunes will increase over the next 18 months. However you define good fortunes, and with Jupiter in the house of windfalls and with the sun on the other side of that moon, this isn't a bad one to get rich, Pluto, by buying a lottery ticket around July the 29th. That's what I got for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, the 5th house is a house of pregnancy and children. Libra, did you think of conceiving a baby business or a child, or was there a grandchild being conceived in your family last spring, like anytime, actually really January, late January through to, February, late February into a couple months after? It could be a conception signature. You conceived a child, your children conceived children, you conceived a project, you conceived a book, you conceived, a baby, something wanted to be born, and now you can see the spotlight on what you wanted to birth. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Come to Sky Reader. I'd love to see you there in the fall. Learn to be your own astrologer and time your best life. Look in the description box. You get the early bird deep discount code that ends at the end of July. Find me on Patreon community. Come join my members only community here. Everything that you get on a members only is also at Patreon, but Patreon has live Zoom meetings with me as well. So check out both Patreon and the members only section in YouTube. Thank you, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for hanging in there.